Hi professors, a quick review of where we stand at this time and how to read the files that I just sent you and will be sending every week. So you received a file with a detailed review of basically everything I have to say, but I'll also say it with a recording so to help you navigate the files. So you can read this one. I will not re-review it, but one important thing, this file, this email contains a link to the folder with weekly updates. So this is what it looks like. And so here you will see the old updates from the last week in the archive, but also the current update, which is sent out today, 2024, January 29. And so in the updates, you will always have the Word version of the basically latest data, the one that I just showed you, and then an Excel file that shows you the student records so that you know how each of your students is doing. And this is what this records file looks like. So it's sorted by professor. So you just find your name here, and then you will see your students sorted alphabetically. And so here you have the student's name, professor's name, university, when the student was welcomed to the project, so when the welcome letter went out, if the student was placed on the team, when the student was placed on a team, team number, team size, then country of origin, studies, and home level, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and then some other information. And then importantly, the test score, and when the test was completed, and some other useful information that I will talk about in a second. Notice that the file has 3 sections. So students who have been placed on teams, and we have about 1,600 students on teams, right here, sorted by professor, as I said. Then you have a bunch of students who have taken the test but failed the test, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And then students who never took the test, but whose names we already have. Most of the time, these are students who just were placed on teams, didn't have to take the time, although there are some students who may have dropped the course or didn't have the time to do the test. So whatever the reason, until they take the test, we will not place them on teams. So for now, they are in the system, but not on teams. Now, an important note on the students who failed the test. Our sort of rule is that students must get 75 or higher on the test to be placed on teams. But we look at other data as well. Some students, like for example here, another student from the same first professor, got a respectable 93 on the test, but skipped 24 questions out of about 70. So about a third of the test was basically skipped. We looked at the data, and we found that the diligence or percentage of questions attempted or percentage of questions skipped correlates very strongly with future performance, in fact, stronger than the test score itself. In other words, how diligent, how motivated, how dedicated you are correlates better with your future performance than how smart you are, how well you can answer the questions. What probably happens is that some students may not care, so they see that some questions are not sort of exam questions, but rather ask about your, like, what country you are from, what country you consider home, like this student skipped it, your age, what you think about your team, what kind of team you want to have. So they skip all that stuff, probably thinking it's not important enough for them to invest the time. And we see a lot of students who basically were penalized for not attempting all of the questions. They tend to come from the same class, and maybe what happened is they sort of cheat, basically, they get the correct answers from their classmates, they get through those questions, and then just skip everything else. Whatever the reason, X-Culture is a team-based project, and when a team member either doesn't have the time or motivation or diligence or discipline to do the test, chances are the student will not have the interest, time, diligence, motivation to show up for team meetings. Or if the student is prone to cheating, essentially, again, probably will not do a good job as a team member. It's not a course where the student pays for the course and we don't care if the student passes or not. It is a team-based project. So if the student fails to deliver, the whole team suffers, and you and I will receive a lot of complaints from our students who will say, hey, my team member is not working hard. So I did not place those students on teams quite yet. I will invite them to take the test again, both to make sure that they are actually interested and motivated and serious, but also to send a signal to them that it's not okay to shark. It's not okay to cut corners. It's not okay to skip a good portion of the test. It's a serious project and you better do everything. And if you don't want to, maybe you shouldn't be in this project. So I hope you agree with this assessment and approach. And those of you who participated before and who know that we receive a lot of complaints from students about team members not doing their share, you know that it's better to be more selective now than to deal with bad team members and complaints about them later. Other than that, so we formed teams. This is what it looks like. I separated master's students into all MBA teams, so to speak, and undergraduate students into all undergraduate teams, with a few exceptions. So we have a lot of students from India, and we simply didn't have enough room for them on all MBA teams. But two, they're very young, like most of them are like 20, 21, 22 years old. They're literally younger than most of our undergraduate students. And so because all the MBA teams have two students from India, I put the older MBA students who are like 25, 27 on MBA teams, but the really young ones who are like 21, I put them on undergraduate teams with people of their own age and work experience. And vice versa, we had a few very old, experienced with managerial and work experience undergraduate students. Like, for example, here we have a bunch of students in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, as you see. And so they really fit better with MBA students based on their experience, managerial experience, work, age. And so I put some of those students on MBA teams. So in the end, most of the teams have 5 students, some have 6, some have 7, and some have only 4. But we will be adding more students so that those that have only 4 at this time, they will have 5 or 6 later on. And so as you see, most teams have 2 American students, or rather US-based students, 2 students from India, and then usually 1 or 2 more countries. And as you will see, those from the United States, usually it would be like 1 American student, but 1 from China studying in the United States. So it's still pretty diverse, and all teams have usually 4 teams or more represented. And those few that have only 4 students, like some of them, it's like here, like everybody's from a different country: Canada, USA, India, Ecuador. But some have like 2 American students, 1 Indian and 1 Thai. So they basically have 4 countries, 2 American students from different states. And as I said, we will continue forming teams. We still have a couple hundred students joining in the coming days. We usually keep forming teams for the next, for the first 2 weeks. So there will be the 5th student or even 6th, and maybe even sometimes 7th added to most of these teams. So we try not to add students once teams are formed, but the smaller teams, since we know there will be more students coming up by Thursday, so we kind of reserved some spots so that we have room to allocate those latecomers. But yeah, that's where we stand at this time. And save the link to this folder with updates. You will receive them every week. So this way you can trace all your students' performance. We will be inviting students as necessary. We will be sending regular updates to students as well. But if you can take or remind students who are not on teams as well, that would be helpful. All right, so all good so far. And yeah, let's see what next week brings.